You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Is Elon Musk currently an asset or a liability? There is no doubt about his importance in the past. He founded SpaceX in 2002, and he grew it to become the biggest space company in the world. They are the best at launching rockets, at landing them, at providing internet by satellite, and they are the only ones in the West sending people to orbit. But since Elon bought Twitter, a lot of people started to say that SpaceX would be better without him, that they would be able to focus on important things instead of having to deal with all the nonsense that he says and all the troubles that he brings. SpaceX is no longer the small company it once was. With more than 15,000 employees and $180 billion of valuation, they are a force of its own, and surely they could thrive without Elon. But how good would they be? Would it really help to lose the most mediatic and most trouble-seeking person of the company? Or would they be losing its biggest asset? No one doubts Elon's contribution to the space industry. Without him, SpaceX would have never done the Falcon 1, they would have taken much longer to evolve it to the Falcon 9, and they would have never pursued reusability in the way they have done. Without reusability, the Falcon 9 would be almost like any other rocket, and you would have never seen the dual Falcon Heavy landings. They wouldn't be able to launch 100 rockets per year, as they are doing now, and without this number of flights, they wouldn't be able to deploy Starlink, as you need a lot of cheap launches to make it profitable. Without Starlink, they would be like any other rocket company, resigned to compete for a market that is not as big as it seems, and without any option to scale it up. With the satellite internet business, they now have a stream of revenue that is way bigger than what they would have if they had only sold rocket launches. And all of this wouldn't have been possible without Elon. He put the first $100 million, he assembled an incredible team from very different places, and he started a culture of pushing hard and not being afraid of failure that eventually led to the best aerospace company it has ever existed. Without him, SpaceX would have been, even in the best case scenario, another rocket company that fights for the juicy NASA contracts, but that has no real incentive to bring something new to the table. But all of this has already been done. Currently, SpaceX has the Falcon 9 mastered, and they are launching it 100 times a year. They managed to make Starlink profitable, and they are selling rockets with a 70% profit margin. What else can Elon add? Even if we consider Starship into the equation, its fate is already decided. It will either be the biggest revolution in space history or the biggest fail. But in any case, the bulk of the load is already done, and even if it fails, the Falcon family is years ahead of its competition. So what is Elon bringing to the table right now? What is he doing that no one else could do? The culture at SpaceX has already surpassed his figure. There are already thousands of individuals dedicated to the cause with unparalleled talent. Is it truly necessary for him to continue leading? Would SpaceX get more government and NASA contracts without him? Remember that even having a better rocket than ULA, SpaceX was awarded less money for the last Department of Defense offering. Would they be able to get more customers if Elon was not there? Was the Starlink involvement in the Russia-Ukraine war a good thing, or did it negatively affect the business? And we cannot forget about the high-risk, high-reward bet that Starship is. They are putting all the eggs in the same basket with this one. All their operations, human-rated launches, Starlink, the human landing system for the Artemis missions, everything will eventually be done with Starship. What happens if it is never a fully and rapidly reusable rocket? What happens if after years of trying, the maximum they can get is a bigger Falcon 9 but without being able to reuse the second stage? Maybe they should be improving the Falcon 9 and Heavy. Maybe they should have proposed a more realistic approach to the moon landing. Maybe they shouldn't be trying to develop the biggest and most powerful rocket ever and also trying it to be the first that is truly reusable. There is no doubt that if Starship is a success, everything will have been worth it. But if it never lives up to expectations and they cannot make it as cheap as they wanted, they would have invested billions for nothing, and they will need to go back to a more realistic approach so that they can maintain their dominance. And even worse, it could become a sunken cost problem. Having already invested a huge amount, they may be tempted to continue forward even if it makes no sense. And if something like this happens, for sure it will be because Elon is the one pushing it. He is the biggest advocate of Starship, because it is the only way that we have a chance of colonizing Mars in our lifetime, and he will push for it, even if it's a financial disaster. And even if it is a success, and even if it works perfectly and is as cheap as they want, Elon could make it a huge problem instead of the biggest space revolution ever. The obsession with Mars is what started this company in the first place, and it could also bring it to an end. Starship can be used in many ways. If it works as expected, it will be able to send the biggest satellites and telescopes we have ever seen. It will be capable of sending and building huge space stations, and it will make the colonization of space possible. but it could also become the beginning of the end for SpaceX. If Elon's obsession with Mars pushes them into eat all their Starlink profits and turn them into Mars infrastructure that is not needed now, they could perfectly kill the chicken of the golden eggs and waste all of this revenue that could be used for many other things. So even if Starship works, it is not clear how much of an asset Elon currently is. But the same could have been said 10 years ago, when SpaceX were trying to recover the Falcon 9 for the first time. There were a lot of people criticizing it, and saying that even if it worked, it would never make sense financially, as there was no demand for enough launches that it made sense to recover the boosters. And they were all wrong. Reusability is what has allowed SpaceX to become the best aerospace company, and even if we currently have some doubts, in 10 years from now, it will seem obvious that the path they are following is the best idea. And like it or not, this path is Elon's path. He's the one that created all of this, and he's the one maintaining it. And if this culture, these high-risk, high-reward bets, this boldness to try to do the impossible has led us here, I don't think that changing it is a good idea. And at the end, if he fails, at least we'll have been entertained along the way. But I would rather see SpaceX failing trying to do the impossible than watching them become another all-space contractor that needs to beg the US Congress for money and that can accomplish nothing new. So let's enjoy the ride while it lasts and hope that it lasts for a long time. As always, take care and learn more.